Hello everybody, this is video 3 of 14. I'm going to talk to you tonight about organized gang stalking. So one thing that occurs with the international sex trafficking ring and with the Illuminati, both of which go hand in hand, not all sex traffickers are Illuminati members, but everybody who's involved in the Illuminati is involved in the sex trafficking ring. Either they're buying people or they're selling them or both. So not every trafficker's Illuminati members, but every Illuminati member has been involved in sex trafficking on some level. One of the things that occurs a lot for victims is targeted gang stalking. Gang stalking is real. If you hear people talk about being targeted individuals, they're not making that up. They may not understand why they're being targeted. They may not understand why they're going through what they're going through. Some people are being targeted for gang stalking for certain reasons that have nothing to do with the worldwide trafficking ring. Some people are targets because of their work or their family or their friends. Some people may go through gang stalking because they know something about corruption within their church, within their business that they're involved in, the work that they do. So there's other reasons why people can be gang stalked, but I'm talking to you about specifically about those in the worldwide trafficking ring because that's what this topic's about. So first of all, I'm just going to give you a brief overview about what I've been through. I'm going to talk more at length over the next couple of days about my own story about gang stalking and my own story about being trafficked by the elite. But I'm going to give you an understanding about what I went through, just a brief overview. I'm going to go a lot more into detail in a couple upcoming videos, so please stay around and keep watching these videos. I'll be posting 2 to 3 a day for the next couple of days. I'm going to be doing 14 videos in this series. I have been gang stalked since I was a child. I am a member of the Collins family originally. I was born into the Collins family, which for those of you who know anything about conspiracy circles, you know that the Collins family is one of the top 13 families in the Illuminati. Technically, in the Illuminati, it's the Rothschilds, the Collins, the Kennedys, and the Rockefellers. Those are the top 4 bloodlines. So if you're born into one of those 4 bloodlines, you're targeted a lot from the time that you're born, infancy. And for me, I started getting abused when I was an infant. I started going through horrific abuse from the time I was an infant, and my life's been absolute living hell. There's been some good in my life. I'm not going to sit here and say that every single thing that I've gone through has been bad. I've had some really good things in my life. My relationship with God, the family that adopted me, my friends, my dog, my ministry. I've had some really good things like that. But I've had mostly bad things in my life. I've gone through hell on earth because of my biological bloodline. So for me, I've gone through sex trafficking. I've been kidnapped. I've been falsely imprisoned. I've been held hostage. I've been tortured. I've been raped. I've been abused. So much sexual assault and so much abuse that I've gone through, so much trafficking. And I'm going to talk more and more about that over the next couple of days. But one thing that I've also gone through is gang stalking. This began when I was just a little girl, from the time I was about 3 years old, which is when I gave my life to God. And I believe that that's what began it, because in the occult, when you're a bloodliner, they don't want you to have anything to do with any religion outside of Luciferianism. And I chose to follow Jesus Christ. When I gave my life to the Lord, I started to get persecuted for being a Christian. Everywhere that I went through persecution. Because many people are either paid by the occult or they are actually in it and they're closeted and they're put into that place to hurt children, to abuse victims, and to continue the cycle. So I went through gang stalking, targeted gang stalking my whole life. Until about 1.5 years ago, my targeted gang stalking was intense. And I'm going to share more in detail about this in the next couple of days. I'm not going into too much detail about that right now. The stuff that I'm going to share is going to sound unbelievable for a lot of people because you haven't been through it, but this is my life. I share these testimonies not to get people to believe me, but to share the truth about what's going on behind the scenes, because Ephesians 5:11 says, have nothing to do with foolish deeds and darkness, but has to expose everything into the light. So that's why I'm doing these videos. Targeted gang stalking is connecting to a specific person for a specific reason, trying to ruin their life. Now, some levels of gang stalking, when it comes to localized gang stalking, maybe because you expose corruption in your workplace, or maybe it's someone from your family that's trying to silence you because you exposed abuse, or maybe it's someone in your friend circle that betrayed you and they started sending people after you. Targeted gang stalking can happen to pretty much anybody in the world. When we're talking about the worldwide sex trafficking and gang stalking, we're talking about the elite of the elite sending millionaires and billionaires and politicians and celebrities and high-ranking officials all around the world into your life to ruin your life. We're talking about active smear campaigns. We're talking about death threats. We're talking about rape threats. We're talking about attempts on your life. We're talking about people coming to your life that were not who they say they were, just to come into your life to get information about you so that they can report back to others. We're talking about getting emails and calls and texts threatening to kill you. We're talking about getting sent pictures of naked bodies saying that, threatening to rape you and sending you rape videos where they're threatening to rape you. This is stuff that I've gone through, guys. This is what I've experienced. I have receipt after receipt after receipt to back up my claims. I don't have receipts for everything because you can't document every single thing in the world, but I have a lot of receipts. I've been the victim of an intense gang stalking campaign that just ended about 1.5 years ago. I still have a little bit of gang stalking. There's still a couple people after me, but a lot of the people that I've been gang stalked by are currently being quieted by people in law enforcement because they're under investigation. Not everybody that gang stalked me is going to be arrested because some of them were low-level people, but the people that were tied to the worldwide trafficking ring will eventually pay for what they've done. I believe that. I believe justice system eventually works. Maybe not maybe not from the start, but it does in the end. I have receipt after receipt after receipt for what happened to me. And again, I'm going to talk more in detail about this, about myself in a couple days. But I'm trying to give you guys an understanding of what gang stalking is. Gang stalking attacks every part of your life. It comes after your family, it comes after your friends, it comes after your work, it comes after your finances, it comes after your health, it comes after your mental health, it comes after every single thing you do. In fact, it can even go after your animals. It can go after anything that you hold dear and ruin your life. The worldwide sex trafficking ring works like this. There's a hierarchy to the worldwide sex trafficking ring. There's the traffickers, and then there's those that buy the victims, and then there's those who are working alongside of them getting paid to either lie or gang stalk somebody or smear somebody or threaten somebody because they're on their payroll. So it starts with the sex traffickers at the very top, and then it's the people that buy the victims, and then it's the people underneath them who are not traffickers and not abusers themselves, but they're working alongside of those people because they want extra money. The worldwide sex trafficking is a lot more vast than anyone knows. The release of the Epstein files is just the tip top of the iceberg. There is so much more, and the Epstein files has changed the world already. But when you guys get down to what's really going on behind the scenes, the worldwide sex trafficking ring exists on so many levels. We're talking about most of the government, most of Hollywood. We're talking about most of the billionaires, most of the millionaires. We're talking about many athletes. We're talking about elaborate, established, targeted sex trafficking, targeted abuse of children, of innocent adults who are not consenting, and of animals. And that's what we're dealing with. And what a lot of people 10 years ago considered a conspiracy theory is now being proven to be facts. I've never been a conspiracy theorist. I share my story. My life is my story. I can't be a theorist because it's not a theory to me. It's facts. This is a conspiracy fact. My life's a conspiracy fact. I'm not a theorist. Theorists say stuff that they've been told or that they believe. Factists are people who actually lived it, or they've seen those around them that they actually trust and they know and they've seen it happen. That's what a factist is. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm a factist. I've been targeted from the time I was a baby, and it's only been in the last 1.5 years that the Lord's given me the grace to get free from my gang stalkers and from my traffickers. So the worldwide trafficking ring exists to continue the cycle. It exists to make money. It exists to use children and unwilling adults and animals as sex toys, to make money off them, to degrade human beings. I shared this in my last video, that when I was being trafficked, one of my main handlers and some of the other abusers used to call me a service dog when they were raping me and abusing me. Not only were they degrading me by assaulting me, but they were calling me a service dog, and they were treating me like I was a dog. It hurts. It hurts to be hurt. It hurts to be trafficked. It hurts to be used as a sex toy. It hurts. It's not something you get over. You can start to heal. You can start to be restored, but there's brokenness that comes from when a person uses you like that. It hurts. It deeply hurts. The gang stalking hurts. The sexual assault hurts. The targeted smearing hurts. All because these men and women in power can't keep their pants on. I'm sorry, I'm being kind of graphic, but it's true. They can't stop raping people. It hurts. It hurts to be a victim. It hurts when you've been targeted. It hurts when people use you for sex when you're not consenting. It hurts when people make money off of you when you're not consenting. It hurts. It hurts to be called a service dog. It hurts in every fiber of your being. I'm just being very brutally honest, guys. It really does hurt. But this is what's going on behind the scenes. I'm just one of thousands of victims. And the targeted gang stalking that the sex trafficking ring does is organized. It exists on every single level of society, all the way from the President of the United States, all the way down to your local homeless shelter. There's people on every level. Not everybody's in the cult. Not everybody's a sex trafficker. I don't mean it that way. But what I'm meaning is that there are people all around the world that are involved in this. This is a massive network involving thousands and hundreds, probably, if you really get down to it, probably hundreds of thousands of people. Some of the gang stalkers are paid. Some of them are actually sex traffickers themselves, and they don't want their hidden deeds exposed. Some of them are paid to do these things because they want money, extra money, so they target people because they want extra money, and they've been targeting people. And some of the gang stalkers are people who've bought children, bought unwilling adults, bought animals, and they don't want their crimes to be exposed. That's what gang stalking is. They are trying to gaslight a person. They are trying to project their crimes on a person. They're trying to make other people question that person. They're trying to turn people against that person so nobody listens to them. Why? Because the person who's gang stalked knows the truth about something very, very dark. Now, again, gang stalking can occur on any level of society. It doesn't have to be the worldwide trafficking ring. It doesn't have to be the Illuminati. It doesn't have to be the occult. Well, what I'm talking about is the sex trafficking ring, because that's what we're talking about here. I'm talking about the Illuminati gang stalking. This is the establishment. So it starts with the sex traffickers, goes down to those who buy the victims, and then underneath that goes down to a huge, elaborate network of people who are involved in the gang stalking. These people necessarily they're not people who are traffickers themselves. They're not even probably buying the victim, but they're working for these people. A lot of times they know who they're working for. They may not know the greatest steps of what they're involved in, but they do know that they're involved in something shady. So what I want to share with you guys about gang stalking is how they reach out to people. So this network exists around the world, mostly planned by the United States government. The United States government has the most elaborate network of gang stalkers. The DOD, which is the Department of Defense, for those of you who don't know what that means, which is the Pentagon. That's where the Department of Defense is established. The Pentagon is one of the greatest places for the gang stalking. There are networks within the Pentagon's mainframe. Now, again, I am not talking about everybody. There are good people in every organization. I am not talking about that. I am talking about the establishment, my friends. So there is a huge network of gang stalkers at the Pentagon. Those people at the Pentagon are some of the most depraved, disgusting people in the world. And I'm going to share more and more about what's going on at the Pentagon soon. And it's really, really, really disgusting. And it may be even hard for you guys to believe it if you're not a victim or if you don't have inside information. And that's okay. To be honest with you, I don't want you to readily believe something, because to believe something of that level of depravity means that you really know how bad the world is. It's nice to have rose-colored glasses on. There's nothing wrong with having rose-colored glasses on, guys. But there is something wrong that when things start to come out in the news, if people turn a blind eye and they don't question what's going on, they don't demand that the files become trials, they don't demand that the truth comes out, that's when the problem is. I'm glad that you guys weren't abused by the Illuminati, by the worldwide sex and trafficking ring, by the DOD, by the CIA, by Blackwater. I'm glad you guys didn't go through that, but I did, you know, and I'm sharing my story because I hope that there's somebody out there that's listening that will question what they're told, and that they will fight for the victims, because it ruins lives. It ruins lives. Not just children, adults, even animals are being caught up. The Pentagon, and I'm going to go more into detail about this, they are doing some of the most depraved acts over there. Again, not everybody, but I am talking about the establishment. The high echelon people at the Pentagon and at the Department of Defense are disgusting sex traffickers. They are child traffickers. They do child pornography right on site at the Pentagon. This stuff is going on right under your nose, my friends. This is going on in the American military. And again, I'm not saying everybody. There's a lot of good people in the military. I am talking specifically about the establishment. And the gang stalking primarily is rooted at the Pentagon and connected to the United States military. Now, there is some gang stalking that's outside of that. But the United States military is used as what we would call a positioning center, I guess would be the best term for that, where they are being used by the worldwide trafficking ring. Now, some of them are traffickers themselves, some of them are buying people, and some of them are just working for them because they want extra cash on the side. People at the Pentagon know exactly what they're doing. Now, some people who are the low-level gang stalkers do not know what they're doing. But those at the Pentagon know exactly what they're doing. They are working for the worldwide sex trafficking. And again, I'm not talking about everybody. I'm talking about the specific group of people. The establishment at the Pentagon is a worldwide hacking industry. They use their computers at the Pentagon to hack into people's phones, to hack into people's emails. I have documented proof of this, guys. I have receipts. Not for everything that I say, because you can't document everything, but I do have a lot of receipts. And these receipts have been handed over to law enforcement. I've been working with law enforcement. There's not just me. There's dozens of survivors working with law enforcement who have been going through the exact same thing. It's just that I've been targeted by hundreds of people, whereas a lot of people who are victims only have a couple handlers. I've had hundreds of people after me. This is something that's because of my bloodline. So I've been targeted by a lot more people than most of the victims do. But there are victims out there like myself, like Robert, like Andrea, people who've been targeted by the worldwide sex trafficking ring on a much larger scale than most of the victims have. This is my life. So at the Pentagon, they have a computer system that is dedicated specifically to targeting victims of abuse. They are working for the worldwide sex trafficking ring. They are sending out pornography. Guys, I want to tell you guys this. Most of the fake accounts that you see on Facebook where people are naked in them, or where they're porn Facebook accounts, male or female, most of those accounts are started by the Illuminati inside of the Pentagon. Most of those accounts can be traced back to the Pentagon. They're not Russian accounts, guys. These are going back to the American government. The whole Russia hacking thing is such a distraction. There are people in Russia that I call rogue Russia. There are some agents in Russia working with the United States government, but most of everything that happens is courtesy of the United States government, the gang stalking. And I'd say that at least 85%, if not 90%, of what happens in the worldwide government, or in the world, is actually caused, in the worldwide trafficking rings, actually caused by the American government. And again, this is just from my own experience and from the inside information that I have, and from many other victims that I know. This is not just my experience. This is the victims that I've met, many victims that I've been helping. And there's countless victims that want to come forward, but we're trying to get our justice. We've been trying for years now. There's been an active investigation into the worldwide sex trafficking ring for at least 10 years. And my friends, the Pentagon has launched this absolute attack against the victims. They use their computer systems to create these fake accounts on Facebook. They use it for hacking. All these fake military accounts, they're not usually fake military accounts, guys. They're not Russian accounts. They're usually actual victims. Not victims, perpetrators. They're usually actually perpetrators at the Pentagon. There's a department at the Pentagon that actually works, and they actually work just to target victims around the world. And they use these porn Facebook accounts to contact victims, to threaten them, to stalk them, to watch them. And in some regards, they use these accounts to contact unsuspecting Americans, unsuspecting people in the world, not just Americans, but this is mostly about the American government. Unsuspecting people around the world, they think that they can get them involved in the porn industry. Most of those accounts, pictures are not willing people. Most of those pictures of those boys and girls and those men and those women that are in those pictures are actually being trafficked. Most of those pictures are not willing people who are doing porn. They're not usually just regular sex workers. We are talking about these pictures being taken at what I call the sex trafficking centers, at places at the American military, at people in the government places, at Mar-a-Lago, at Epstein's Island, at different places like this at Bohemian Grove. These pictures are taken while they're being trafficked. Those pictures and a lot of those accounts are not willing people. They're not willing. Some of them are, but most of them aren't. So the American government's established, because it's mostly based on sex trafficking, the American government sex trafficking industry has established a hacking industry or hacking group at the Pentagon that they use to hack people's phones. They use these accounts to get access to people's phones, to spy on them, to get their contacts. Even getting to the point where they can get where they're at any time to start to gang stalk them. This is how a lot of the gang stalking begins. If you're not a top family member like I was. For me, this continued my whole life because of my bloodline. But if you're not a bloodliner and they're targeting you for some reason, it starts usually with the Pentagon and usually with this hacking network that they have going on. Sometimes they hack people for other reasons. Sometimes it's because they're dissidents of the American government, or because they're trying to expose the worldwide trafficking ring, or because they are being targeted because of something they don't even know why they're being targeted. Some people in the American government, sometimes people at the American military target certain people for certain reasons. Again, I'm not talking about everybody in the military. I'm talking about the specific group of people. So these hackers get access to their phone, and then they start to find out where they're going, what they're doing, who they are associated with, start to stalk them, start to target them. And that's how the gang stalking starts for a lot of people. The Pentagon also has what I would call, I'm trying to think of the word that I'm going to use on this. The Pentagon has places there where they maintain surveillance, and they maintain a place where they keep focus on certain people, targeted surveillance, targeted gang stalking. The Pentagon sends out teams, actually, and they work with other people who are mercenaries, agents who are from Blackwater. It was originally known as Blackwater. I think now its name's Academy, but it was started by Eric Prince, who, by the way, I'm going to talk a lot about in one of my videos, because Eric is one of the top people in the trafficking ring. Eric Prince is behind a lot of things. Eric Prince is a very, very psychotic, evil man who I have had to deal with for years. This man is insane. He's completely insane. He's an insane billionaire. And Eric Prince is behind almost everything. Eric Prince is a mercenary. He works with the American military. The American military works with him. He uses Blackwater, which now is known as Academy, which he acts like he doesn't have any say in anymore, but he still owns this establishment. This establishment, the mercenaries at Blackwater, have agents everywhere. They are a huge organization, but they're very, very quiet. They were originally started as a private security firm, and then they became mercenaries. Blackwater is, I'd say, probably one of the biggest problems in the world today. Blackwater has agents in all over the world. A lot of celebrities, a lot of government agents are Blackwater. That's how they get involved in a lot of the stuff with the trafficking, because they're Blackwater agents. Eric Prince is one of the top traffickers that existed. Eric Prince is most of the problem when it comes to the American military. He was behind a lot of it, and he got a lot of people involved, and then he blackmailed a lot of people that were in the American military. So he's pretty much handling the Pentagon. He was handling the Pentagon for years. So they work for Eric Prince and for other organizations as well, but especially Eric Prince. There's other people involved, but they work for Eric Prince. They do what he's asking them to do. Eric puts out gang stalking things for certain people. They launch a targeted attack against people. Eric Prince will tell people to go to people's houses, to their workplace, to stalk them, to videotape them, to photograph them, to threaten them, to try to kill them. I mean, this is stuff that's happening not just to me, not just to other victims, but a lot of people. And some people have no idea why they're being gang stalked. Usually goes back to the American military. The American military needs to pay for their crimes. And again, I'm not talking about everybody at the military, but this specific group of people, which is a lot of people. If you've heard on the news, there was a story from a long time ago, and it came back up in the news recently. There were thousands of people at the Pentagon that were under investigation for child pornography. Guys, it's a lot more rampant at the Pentagon than you will ever know. The sex trafficking ring is centered right there at the Pentagon. There are so many people at the Pentagon involved in the child sex trafficking ring. They are disgusting, depraved individuals that work there. and they worked to silence other people. They work to silence victims. They also are running, and I will talk more about this in a couple days, actually tomorrow, because I'm going to be talking about the organized, I'm going to be talking about the organizations that are involved in sex trafficking ring. I'm going to be exposing some organizations. Pentagon mostly is going to be one of my main focuses, along with Blackwater, the CIA, and a couple other organizations. But the Pentagon has a sex trafficking ring specifically for animals, specifically dogs. I know that sounds absolutely disgusting. Guys, these people are depraved. These people that are in this trafficking ring at the Pentagon, they are disgusting, depraved individuals. They are running a bestiality trafficking ring at the Pentagon. I met so many people who have animals that were sexually assaulted by members of the United States military. This is disgusting, guys. We were talking about depraved acts, heinous acts of disgusting behavior, because most of them are Luciferians. Most of them are involved in the cult. And this dog sex trafficking ring is going on. The sex trafficking is going on. This stuff's real, guys. This is disgusting, but it's real, and it needs to be addressed. There's an investigation into the United States military, and there has been for a couple of years now. The United States military needs to pay for their crimes. The underground sex trafficking ring of dogs is disgusting as well. It's heinous. They went after my dog. Actually, they tried to kidnap my dog. I know it sounds insane, but they did some really heinous things to my dog. Used to stalk me and stalk my dog. They actually would come up to me. Some of the military people would come up to me on the street so brazenly, and I don't even know why they were so brazen about this, but they would actually tell me, they're like, your dog is a cute butt. I'd like to see what it looks like around me and within me, like things like that. And I know it's absolutely heinous, but these people are American military members. Disgusting trash. Okay, disgusting trash. They themselves, God loves them, I know that. But what they are doing is disgusting trash. They are running a sex trafficking ring of children. They are running a sex trafficking ring of unwilling adults. And they are running a sex trafficking ring of animals, and especially dogs. Disgusting behavior needs to be exposed. Gang stalking is mostly centered around the Pentagon, mostly centered around the DOD. There are a lot of other organizations involved. I'm going to talk about that later on when I make my second video for today. But these organizations are targeting victims around the world. And this goes as far as gang stalking using technology, not just stalking online, coming to in person, but also using targeting pain waves, which is real. The chip's real. I'm not talking about the chip that's in the end days, guys. I'm not talking about the mark of the beast. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about a chip that they have put within certain people's foods. They put chips within victims of ritualistic abuse, especially bloodliners. They put chips into most everybody who works for the United States government and for the military. These chips are supposed to be tracking devices. Not everybody has them, but some people do. And they can send targeted pain waves to you. This is real, guys. This is not some kind of fantasy. Okay, this is real. I've been a victim of it. I know countless victims. The targeted chips send out pain waves to people. They can control you through not control you. They can't make you do certain things, but they can control your pain level and your nausea level, things like that. They can punish you remotely using the chip if you're chipped. I got chipped when I was 11 years old, not willingly. It was put in my food. I found out about this 2012, I think it was, that I found out that I was chipped. I had weird symptoms going on. I actually have proof of being chipped. It was put in my food. I swallowed it when I was eating, and it was put in my food, and I had that chip put it within me. And that chip, the government and the United States military used to send pain waves to me. And they even admitted this to me, guys. This is not something that I'm just saying out of my head. Sounds far-fetched. It sounds sci-fi. I know that, but I'm sharing my testimony. These pain waves were sent out to me whenever I'd be trying to expose stuff. I would start to get sick. I would start to get nauseous. I would start to get targeted pain waves. I would hear like buzzing in my ears because it was the chip in my body that never disintegrated. And it was the chip sending these pain waves to me. The American military admitted it to me. I had people in the American government, both traffickers that were trafficking me, as well as people who were trying to help me, because there's some people in the government that want to fight against this stuff and they want to expose this stuff. I had them admit that to me. I've seen the paperwork where they actually admit that they illegally chipped many, many people, most of whom are bloodliners, most of whom are governmental officials or tied to the intelligence community or the military. But there's some people who are regular victims that they've chipped. They send targeted pain waves through. They monitor them through it. They can't control you. They can't make you do anything that you want to do, that they want you to do through that. There's actually conspiracy theories out there about that. Guys, that's a theory. It's not real. As a conspiracy factist, as somebody who's actually lived it, I can say that they can't do that. What the chip does do is send targeted pain waves and nausea through your body. It can cause ringing in the ears. It can cause dizziness. It can cause severe, severe nausea. I had severe nausea for 20 years until very recently when they finally got the chip turned off. And they actually, some of the people that I work with in law enforcement, actually was fine. High levels of law enforcement were actually able to get this turned off. There's a chip program that will be exposed. It's disgusting, but it's just part of the worldwide sex trafficking ring. Everything that you think you know about the worldwide sex trafficking is just a little bit. It's just the tip of the iceberg. This stuff is disgusting. It's targeted. It's abuse, trauma. The gang stalking is insane when you are trying to expose stuff. We hear about victims. For instance, I heard about one of the victims. Somebody, I think it was Donald Trump's limo driver, I think, was talking about this. He made a video. It used to be his limo driver in the 1990s, I think it was. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure it was his limo driver from the 1990s. He said that he heard him on the phone with Jeffrey, which I'm assuming was Jeffrey Epstein because they were good friends. He was on the phone with this guy named Jeffrey, and I assume it was Jeffrey Epstein, and he was talking about one of the children that he raped. And he said, we need to silence her. She wants to talk to our family. She wants to expose us. That girl, a couple of days later, gunshot through her head, 13 years old. This is what they do to victims. And if they can't kill you, if they can't get rid of you, then they will smear you, they will target you, they will gang stalk you, they will torture you, all to keep you in submission. There are so many victims out there, guys. I'm not the only one. There's thousands and thousands of victims. We can read about a lot of this stuff in the Epstein files, but that's the tip of the iceberg. And I'm sharing all of this, and I've been sharing this for a decade, guys, but I'm sharing in greater detail now because I feel safe. Like I can start to share in a greater detail. People I work with in law enforcement told me that it's okay to share some of this stuff. I'm not sharing everything. There's a lot more that if I ever get the chance to testify, I'll testify about a lot more. I'm just sharing stuff in detail that I feel like is important for people to know. It's hard to talk about. It may be a little overwhelming. It may be scary to people. And honestly, if it's not scary to you and you're not a survivor and you're not scared by this, I would question why you feel that way. Maybe you're desensitized. Because if you're not a survivor of this gang stalking or this trafficking, you won't understand. You might not, if you're a survivor, you may not be as afraid. But if you're not a survivor, this could be overwhelming and be scary. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. And even survivors, it's scary. It's scary for me to talk about this stuff, guys. It's hard. It's not so much scary. It's more like triggering, I guess would be the word. I'm doing these videos because I want people to know the truth, but it's very hard for me. The last 24 hours, I've done 3 of these videos, and I am kind of a wreck emotionally because I'm thinking about everything that I've been through, but I want people to know the truth. There are victims all across the world that deserve their justice. Not just of trafficking, not just of ritualistic abuse, but sexual assault. Because a lot of the people that are at the high levels of the sex trafficking ring have people that they influence all over the world. We're talking about foster care. We're talking about schools. We're talking about churches. We're talking about hospitals. We're talking about mental institutions. We're talking about all these places around the world that are involved in the trafficking, that are involved in sexual assault. And a lot of victims have been assaulted and molested and raped by people who are associated with the sex trafficking ring. And they may not even know that they're associated with them because they work for an establishment that they were associated with. Or maybe they were, the rapist was working for somebody and they got influenced by these people. That doesn't mean that they're necessarily part of the actual sexual trafficking ring, but they are part of a global group of people who are trying to molest and torture children. So every victim, whether you're ritualistically abused, sex trafficked, raped, molested, no matter what you've been through, you deserve your voice and you deserve your truth. I'm going to talk later on about the organizations involved. I'm going to talk more about the Pentagon. I've talked a lot about the Pentagon tonight. I'm focused on that for a reason, because a child pornography ring at the Pentagon is disgusting, and that's going to be coming out pretty soon. If I get my information, my information's right, but if they can stir things up more, the stuff about the Pentagon should be coming out, because the stuff that the people that I work with have been working around the clock to try to expose the Pentagon and to try to expose the worldwide trafficking ring, but especially the Pentagon. The Pentagon's been a big part of this because the Pentagon can bring down a lot of people, just like the Epstein files that can. I don't know exactly when this is going to come out. I don't know that because law enforcement has been working for a long time, but there's a lot of pushback and there's a lot of reasons why things aren't in the media yet. And I'm not going to go into detail about all that at the moment. But pray for the people who are investigating the crimes. Pray for the victims and pray for those who are investigating them as well, because the people that are investigating them need prayer as well. They need good thoughts. The victims need good thoughts. This needs to be exposed. The Pentagon needs to be exposed. Epstein's co-conspirators need to be exposed. Anyone associated with Epstein's co-conspirators need to be exposed. The foster care system needs to be exposed. The churches, the schools, the American government, the rogue Russian government, the British royal family, some of the people that are a part of them need to be exposed. The Saudis need to be exposed. The Saudi royal family. Bibi Netanyahu needs to be exposed. Red Mossad needs to be exposed. These organizations need to be exposed because they run a sick, disgusting, depraved crimes against humanity, sex trafficking ring. And this needs to be exposed. And it's starting to come out. So God bless you guys. And I hope you guys have a great night or great day for most of you, because most of my friends are in other countries. It's already daytime. It's nighttime for me. It's almost 1 o'clock here in the morning on the East Coast of America. But I love you guys and I'm blessing you. And just look for video 4 sometime in the morning. Whenever I get up, I'm going to make video 4. God bless you guys.